Hi guys. So, over the past few weeks, I have been feeling a little bit of a tug in this. I have a few friends who we've had some talks. I am married. I've been married for 10 years and I've been very blessed. I did not always have this relationship. I was absolutely foolish. I was engaged to somebody before I met my husband. God was very merciful. Okay, God was very merciful in how it happened for my relationship. Okay, but I have many friends who are single, who are not married, who are much older. Some of them actually older than me, but I've been married for 10 years. Okay, so I would like to talk to those who have not been married and those who are still maybe struggling with the concept that, oh well, this is February. This is the month of love. And therefore, I should have a relationship. I should have a cookie cutter, beautiful romance because this is the month of love. We start seeing all these couples coming out with all of their pictures on Facebook about, oh, I went to this date and I went out and I got these flowers or I got this chocolate and I got this. You know what? If my husband buys me flowers, I'm going to ask him what he did wrong. Okay. My husband does not buy me flowers. He buys me motorcycle parts. Now, I will take motorcycle parts. All right. I got that. If he wants to buy me motorcycle parts for our date, for our honeymoon, well, not honeymoon, but our anniversary, for my birthday, I'll take motorcycle parts, okay? Don't buy me flowers. But we find in February that everybody has this perfect romance and they're sharing it all over social network and the whole world knows how beautiful of a romance they have. And those who don't have this beautiful romance, well, there just must be something wrong. Maybe they're not trying hard enough. Maybe they're not praying enough. The society around us, culture teaches us, many cultures teach us that a woman should grow up, find a husband, have children, be a mom, become a grandma, maybe become a great grandma, and that's life, okay? That's beautiful. But that doesn't mean everybody should have to do that. I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I don't think that is fair to our ladies who are unmarried. I don't think that's fair to our young ladies who are not married. I tease about it. My mom, growing up the ways that she did, in the generation that she did, raised me and my sister to the understanding that our greatest goal was to become a mother. Now, that is not a diss on my mother in any way, shape, or form. I love her dearly. But our greatest goal would have been to get married and to have children and to be a homemaker, which I very thankfully am. I'm currently working on being able to return to the workforce now that my children are in school, but I very thankfully am, and there's nothing wrong with that. I absolutely am not dissing on that. But the world would have us think that if we're not this perfect cookie cutter mother or wife, and we don't have this relationship or a spouse, we have no validation, we have no value. We're not doing what is expected of us properly. We're not achieving our successes. We're not being successful, and we're not okay if we don't have a man, or we're not okay if we don't have a girlfriend. Okay, you know what? Y'all don't need anybody. They make things complicated. I love my husband dearly, but there are some days I would like to beat the living daylights out of him. Like, dude, just let me be. Okay? I enjoy actually being left alone. I enjoy actual peace and quiet. Okay? Having children, you don't get peace and quiet. Okay? We look at these relationships like they are so beautiful and so perfect and so amazing, but we do not understand the work that goes into a marriage. You know what? The world does not teach you that cookie cutter romance is a lot of work. Okay? That cookie cutter romance is a lot of sacrifice. That cookie cutter romance is not getting what you want every time and preferring your spouse. Okay? Not doing what is best for me every time, but what is best for my family. Sometimes you will lose who you are in that. You know what? I am wild and I am crazy. I will say that 100% of the time. I'm wild and I'm crazy, but I cannot be wild and crazy as a mommy. Okay? I cannot be that. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing, and I love my children dearly, again. But I had to sacrifice who I was as Amber in order to become Mommy, in order to become Amber Zellers instead of Amber Ross, okay? There's a big difference between who I was as Amber Ross and who I am as Amber Zellers. My life drastically changed. You know, there's a huge difference in that. I am absolutely blessed in the marriage that I have, okay? I am very blessed in that, and I am not trying to negate that in any way, shape, or form. But the fact of the matter is just because I am married does not mean that everybody else has to. It does not mean that you are not a success, or you are not beautiful, or you are not worthy just simply because you don't have that relationship. You know, the Bible does talk about the fact that God understands the desires of our hearts. God understands what we need. You know, and I needed to have a husband who could keep me straight. I was wild and crazy, and I needed that. Not all of us need that grounding point. Some of us are so incredible that we don't need anybody, and we can stand alone, and we can do everything we've ever been called to, and we can fight with or without anybody by our side. You know, that's strong. That's bravery. That's something I don't have. I need my husband, okay? I will say that. You girls, you men who have been able to live your life till 30, 40, 50 years old without having a spouse, without having a partner, you know what? That's incredible. And nobody should be able to say that you are not good enough, or you didn't have enough value because you weren't this or you weren't that, and you didn't line up to what culture and society thinks you should. I'm sorry, I don't agree with what culture and society thinks we should have to be. You see, Paul in 1 Corinthians 7 and 34, if I can bring that up here. There we go. It says, "There's a difference also between a wife and a virgin. The unmarried woman careth for the things of the Lord, that she may be holy both in body and in spirit. But she that is married careth for things of the world, how she may please her husband." Okay, it's not a diss. That's not saying that we're only worldly and we can't be spiritual. But that is to say that there is a huge difference between what I can do and what some of my friends who are unmarried can do in the ministry. I have a beautiful friend who is in the UK. She's in the military missions, and this girl can work for weeks and weeks and hours and hours and hours and hours. She can stay up and she can put into the ministry that she has been called to. I cannot do that. I have to go home. I have a wife, I have a husband, and I have children, and I have a family that I am responsible for. But my friend, she has the freedom to put every bit of her effort and every bit of her desire into the kingdom of God. You know, we need people like that. We need men and we need women who are able to put 1000% of everything they have into the ministry of God. And how dare we as a society say that, oh, well, you just need a man. Or, oh, well, you just need a girlfriend. You just need, you know what? It's cute, okay? It's nice. It's nice. But you do not have to have a partner to be validated. You do not have to have that in order to be what whatever. You are beautiful, you are lovely, you are absolutely 1000% the way that God made you to be. Just because you do not have a spouse or a partner does not mean you are anything less. Just because you do not have this perfect cookie cutter romance and relationship does not mean you are anything less than what God has called you to be. Now, I do believe that God can give you a spouse later on in your life, and you can give everything to God early, and then God can give you a spouse. There is that hope. But at the same time, you know, we do not need to look for a partner in this world in order to be validated. And I feel that that is a huge thing. Our young men and our young women do not need to feel the need to be validated through a relationship. Okay? The only relationship you need to be validated through is the relationship you have with God. The only relationship you need to be valued is the relationship you have with God. If you can give your relationship to God, God will take care of the rest. If He feels you need to have a spouse, then God will give you that spouse. If your desire is to have a spouse, God understands the thoughts and the intents and the desires of our hearts. He will deal with what is needed, but in the meantime, you need to wait. Um, as a testimony for me, I absolutely wanted to be married. Like I said, I needed to have a spouse, and God understood this about me. Okay, from day one, I have always been a daddy's girl. I have always hung out with the guys and been with on the crazy side of things. So I have caught the eye of many different people. As a young girl who wanted to be validated, who wanted to fit in to the crowd, who wanted to have a relationship like what everybody else has, like what you see in the movies. I drastically wanted that. I desperately wanted to be validated in a relationship with a guy. Okay? And my dad would always say, "Honey, I'm praying for you that God will not just send you a man, but that God will send you the right man, the one that he has made for you, the one that he has designed for you." And at 18, I ended up being engaged to a man who was far from the man that I needed to be with, okay? My parents understood this. Everybody around me understood this. Me, myself, and I did not understand this, okay? It was very interesting. It was a very rough time. I almost lost out on a relationship with God in this time because I was going to choose this relationship over a relationship with God. Okay? I wanted this so badly. But eventually, as I was able to see that it was not right for me, and my dad, my parents were able to help me to come back to God, um, I was very blessed in meeting my husband. And as I started a relationship with my husband, as I started as a friend, nothing more. I literally had just broken off an engagement that was very dramatic. So I started talking to my husband now as a friend. And my dad, when my husband, boyfriend or well friend at the time, asked my dad if he could date me, my dad looked at me and he says, "Honey, I've prayed for you, and this man right here is the one that God sent for you. This man right here is the one that God designed for you. Had I not waited, my life would have been destroyed. Had I not allowed God to do what he needed to do in my life would have been destroyed. But now, 10 years later, I am able to say that this is the man that God has designed for me." And I hope to leave you with this fact is like, you know what? It does not matter what the world would say. It does not matter what our cultures around us would say. It does not matter what the church around us would say. You know what? We do not need another person to be validated when it comes to this life. We need God. We need God to validate us. We need to be able to stand on our own and be strong on our own. We do not have to cave in to the peer pressure of the world around us just to fit in and to feel that validation and that love. You know what? That is not needed. We can have God. We can have God. And I challenge you to be willing to wait. As hard as that sounds, as frustrating as that seems, I challenge you to be willing to wait, because when you wait for the one that God has designed for you, the one that I would have chose was a nightmare. He looked really nice, okay? He was really, really cool. He was the cool kid, but he was a nightmare. He was absolutely not the one that God had designed for me. Now, he was considered to be in church. I found him in church, but I did not find him in the altar, okay? There is a difference. There's a huge difference in finding somebody just simply at church and finding that man in the altar. There's a difference, and you guys need to understand it. A praying man, a man who you find in the altar, is going to love God, and therefore he's going to be able to love you. If he can't love God, he doesn't know how to love you, okay? There's going to be a lot of things that you will have to sacrifice in order to be in a relationship, in order to be a mommy, in order to fit into all of these things. Now, I'm not saying they're not worth it, but at the same time, I'm telling you, it is not as beautiful and mushy gushy and cloud nine and this beautiful rainbows and sunshine kind of lifestyle that the world has made it look out to be. You have just as many struggles on your own as we have as a married couple. Maybe we have more. At the fact that now, not only do I get to make my own choices, I have to make sure my choices are equal and online with the choices of my husband. I have to verify with somebody what I'm allowed to think. I have to verify with somebody if maybe I shouldn't wear these clothes. I have to ask my husband. Or maybe I shouldn't go to this place. I should probably ask my husband. Or maybe I shouldn't do these things. I should probably ask my husband. you know, as a single person, you can be like, no, I'm not doing that. Or, oh, yeah, sure, let's go. And peace out. You don't have that issue. But you need to understand that whether everybody else around you looks like it's a beautiful fairy tale or not, love is a relationship and relationships take work. Just because you want the mushy gushy does not mean you are able to understand and comprehend and deal with the issues and the work and the problems and the sacrifices that will come in a relationship. So, just because you are single or just because you have not met the one that God has for you yet, I challenge you today, pray about it. Talk to God about it. He understands the desires of your heart. He knows what you need. And he will give you the man that he has designed for you, or the woman. I mean, if you are a young man looking for a lady, it works both ways. God will give you the one that he has designed for you if you are willing to allow him to do it in his time. We cannot push him, we cannot make him, but we can pray about it and let him send us the one that we need.